All right, guys, here
Go sit
is
down,
my
Ava. Go to the
audience.
Love you too.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so do you guys actually think you guys' vote matters?
Yes.
Do you think that you need to vote?
Yes.
Nope, only when we're voting for laws, unfortunately. The Electoral College actually chooses whoever the presidential candidate's going to be. In 1787, the Electoral College was formed, chooses the president and the vice president. Did you know that the electorals that are going to go to the polls actually already pledged to go to vote for a president before we even vote? Now what this means is that if there's a Democratic state, like California, let's say, that has 55 votes in Delaware, South Dakota, and Wyoming, which are considered Democratic states, they choose their electoral voters, and they are chosen by a Democratic party. Now, if the Republican candidate gets most of the popular votes, then the electoral votes will go towards the Republican voter instead of the Democratic voter. Now, this all seems like it's plausible because the popular vote goes to the electoral votes. But there have been 8 different presidential votes from the Electoral College that have gone the opposite way, which means that places like California that have a large population, and places like Delaware, Wyoming, and South Dakota have smaller populations, they only get 3 votes per state because that's their whole entire district, whereas California has multiple districts spread across the state. Now, if say 2/3 of the voters of California vote for the Democratic vote or candidate and 1/3 votes for the Republican Party. Now, this 1/3 obviously does not win that candidate's votes, which means that those 1/3 of votes automatically are disposed of. They don't count, which means that your vote won't count if you voted for the Republican voter. Now, through this Electoral College, how it works is each party selects their Electoral College elector. When the voters go and they go to vote for their candidate, it is already narrowed down to specific candidates that the Electoral College wants you to vote for because they have pre-selected the candidates that are allowed to be in front of the American people because they are qualified Electoral College. Now with the Electoral College, they are not required or bound by any constitutional rules or regulations on how the Electoral College votes, which means that if they pledge for Republican candidate and we elect a Republican candidate, they can actually vote for the Democratic candidate. In 2005 and 2016, our most present elections, the presidents that won the popular vote actually lost the election. In 2016, Hillary Clinton lost the election with 2.5 million more votes than President Trump due to the electoral vote count. Now, there are many inlets on the elections that would change. Let's see a couple of examples here. In 2008 election, nearly 70% of the votes did not even change the outcome of the presidential election. Also in 2000, where we had a recount in Florida, in 2000 election, the president, George Bush, won over Al Gore, which I don't know who wants Al Gore as a president, but that could have changed the history of our country. With all of what media says on how much our vote counts and they try to get us to go to the polls, unfortunately we assume with freedom that it's a democracy. The scare tactics don't work anymore. So, does your vote really count? No, it only counts when we go into laws and such statements like that. So, what I want you guys to do is understand that we need to abolish the Electoral College and make it a popular vote that wins for the presidential candidates. Not because the Electoral College is going to make the overall decision.